Dad sleepwalking again. Dad sleepwalking again. The boy, barely 11 himself, looked over to his little sister, standing by the foot of his bed. She didn't even have to tell him. In the old house, even the slightest movement echoed loudly through every single room, and their father, heavy-set as he was, did not have a quiet step. Both of them had woken up the moment he started wandering around downstairs, the floorboards creaking continuously as he did so. They hated those sleepless nights. A step, another, a pause, a crack. With little hesitation, the boy lifted the covers, an all too familiar sign for his sister to crawl into bed with him. Without a word, he offered her half his pillow and attempted to comfort her. Though, and he'd rarely admit this, he didn't mind not being alone now. Despite their previous attempts to simply go back to sleep, they always ended up simply listening. The worry was too strong to ignore. A door, a thud, a moan. His sister whimpered, and even he felt his heart beating faster and faster, as they both wished for their father to find his way back to bed. Maybe we can just go to him, and his sister had started pleading in a whisper. But her brother quickly interrupted. He thought of their mother, how she told them many, many times of the most important rule when it came to sleepwalking. What does Mom always say? His sister grew quiet. Even though she was too little to understand many things, this particular answer she knew far too well. You must never disturb someone when they're sleepwalking. He had replayed that speech in his head so often. He remembered a moment years ago, his excitement to find out whether sleepwalking looked exactly like the cartoons he had seen, before his mother intercepted him as he snuck into the hallway. It was the first and only time he had seen her absolutely furious. An unfamiliar cry, a wail, a plea. His sister had started sobbing and shivering, and he simply wrapped his arms around her, letting his own tears roll. There wasn't anything he could do to make her feel better. They simply had to wait. Even he was fighting the urge to run downstairs, wondering if it would make a difference. A scream, a gurgle. Silence. The next morning, the children sat at the table eating their waffles, their favorite breakfast, in complete silence. Their tired mother simply keeping busy in the kitchen, the polar opposite of the father, who came down the stairs whistling a cheerful tone, planting a kiss on top their heads. He always did seem a bit happier the morning after. The children simply smiled, not uttering a word about the night before. After all, telling themselves he was sleepwalking made life a lot easier. The girl who went missing. 15 years ago, I woke one morning to find my daughter had gone missing. She was only 16 and wasn't lying in her bed when I woke up. I called the police and searched for her. After all, that's what a good mother would do, right? I couldn't find her anywhere. I searched the house, the forest, her favorite places to go, but nothing. After all those years, nobody found even a trace of her. That was until one evening. I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up the phone, sat on the couch with my husband. He had his arm around me as I picked up the phone. There was a moment of silence. Hello? Who is this? And what do you want? I said, almost choking on my words. What if this person knew our secret? I was scared. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like my lungs were closing in on me. I hoped this was a prank call. My stomach dropped as I heard this person's voice. It was my daughter, 15 years later. Hello, Mother. Is Father with you? I can't believe I found your number after all these years. My mouth fell open instantly. This can't be. You see, usually a mother would feel happy hearing from their missing daughter, but not when I was the one who killed her and hid her body. Hearing her voice 15 years later definitely came to a surprise. I'm shocked. I don't know what to feel. My husband helped me. She was never a good girl. I wanted her gone, and I thought she was. Until now. I know it was you. I know what you did to me. How could you? I'm sorry, baby girl. I just wanted you gone. You were so horrible to me, and I couldn't take it anymore. I started to cry. This was the daughter I had stabbed repeatedly until she was no longer conscious, and even then I carried on. How was she contacting me? I'll get you, Mum. Don't worry. You'll get your karma. She hung up as I started to panic, my heart racing. I don't know if that was really my daughter or not, but I guess we'll find out if she comes for me. Until then, I'm hidden in my underground bunker that we had built years ago due to war threats in my country. I wonder if she will actually come for me or not. I guess I'll find out soon. My roommate as of late. I'm worried about how my roommate has been acting lately. For one, he hasn't spoken to me in weeks. But here's the bit that concerns me. He hasn't spoken to anyone else either. I've heard of people going silent after something traumatic, but it's been almost a month since the incident. I'm worried he may never speak again. What's worse is that he's completely shut into himself. The only social event he's been to since this whole thing started was a funeral, and all he did then was cry. He didn't wipe his eyes, didn't pray, didn't say goodbye, or anything at all. He just cried so softly, and then went home with me. He hasn't visited his parents since then either, or any of his other friends. Right after the incident, his senses seemed completely gone. Maybe it was grief or some sort of brain damage, but I'm certain his sense of touch, especially, was gone for a while. At least, he didn't feel me reaching out to him. But maybe that was because my stupid hand phased right through his shoulder. He couldn't see either, at first. Now he can, and he glances at me sometimes, always tearfully. That makes me want to cry too. But it gives me hope that maybe he'll heal from this someday. But he can't hear me, and that's what makes me break inside. You see, he wasn't just my roommate. We were best friends, and maybe one day we'd have been something more if not for the incident. I was in a dark place before then. Even he couldn't quite pull me out of it. One day, I guess I just sort of snapped. I wandered out of our apartment, down the road, and around the corner of the busiest street in our neighborhood. I walked across, far from the intersection, not knowing or caring what might happen. And then he saved me. I don't know how he knew I was even having those kinds of thoughts, but he did. He ran and pushed me hard to the safety of the opposite sidewalk. I was safe. But he wasn't. He wasn't fast enough. He was crushed by that truck in my stead. That's why it breaks my heart that he can't hear me. He's my best friend, the person I'm closest with. He saved my life. And I can't even apologize for the reason why he's dead.